You're listening to the Agony Column News Report featuring interviews, phone interviews, reports from live book events and festivals, and conversations with readers. You can find additional news, interviews, book reviews, and more 5 days a week at the Agony Column website at trashotron.com/agony. I'm speaking with Rachel Swirsky. She has a collection coming out called How the World Became Quiet. She just read Death in the 24-Hour Donut Shop. Thank you for joining me, Rachel.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
That was a phenomenal story, and what really interested me about it was that though it unrolled like a story of supernatural and life after death, it really had the feel of a science fiction story.
That's good to hear. I overheard a little bit of Robert Sawyer's interview where he was saying that he thinks fantasy and science fiction are sort of opposites, and I'll be interested to hear him elaborate on that. Because I'm not sure that all science fiction is all that plausible, actually. And I think they're both sort of imaginative travelings, and I know I come to the world as a materialist, and so I actually sometimes do get that feedback on my fantasy, that it reads like science fiction.
Well, I think what was interesting about it was that you took that fantastic notion, but then you just kind of locked it into this very solid, logical following forth on your premise and gave us two great characters and a fantastic prose voice. Just was fun to hear you read that.
It's fun to read because, it's silly, and I like reading things that hopefully the audience is amused by. It's easier to keep attention when people are like laughing, and you can also make them cry, but then everyone leaves bummed out. So what fun is that?
When you compose a story like that, talk about deciding on the premise and then finding the voice. Do the voices are your voices similar, or do you find voices match premises?
I find voices match characters. I think language is the most deft tool that writers have to express character. In some stories, that character will be a narrator who is separate from either individual. In this case, the prose is close enough to Ruth's head that it's much more similar to her voice. I know a lot of writers can kind of change the voice that comes to them once they come up with the idea. I can't. The premise, the character, the voice, those are all, givens, and then I can work on other stuff after that.
Have you written science fiction, like with technological speculation? Talk about choosing the kind of technology you speculate about.
I did have an anthropology degree, and my interests are mostly in anthropology, psychology, sociology. So the kinds of technology that I'm interested in are less awesome space stuff. I love awesome space stuff, but more, I love to read other people's awesome space stuff. But
Sample complete. Ready to continue?